Okay, is this motherfucker recording now? Okay, how's everybody doing? Hopefully better than me. I've had this oolong tea keeping me up for quite many hours already. And it's done it before. I've been up for 2-3 days at a time drinking this shit. Yeah, and it's doing it again. So it's not that cool. Anyways, I press record here because I'm replacing another fucking video. Yeah, why? Because my comedy gets a little bit too far, right? Goes a little too far. Goes a little bit too over the edge, right? And so I listened back, and there's quite a few episodes I've deleted and redone because of that. And so either people will take it wrong, and sometimes I'll listen and be like, what the fuck was I saying there? And sometimes I just say some shit that's just like, cause it's just wild. Because when I first started doing history episodes, I would lay on the couch, and I would literally lay on the couch and press record and just be like, and in 1492, they came to the shoreline. And people are like, man, this is fucking boring. And I even listened to it. I was like, man, yeah, this is bad. Sound like I was falling asleep at the wheel. But, but, but I wanted to record history and put history down there because that's my hobby. That's what I've been doing for many, many, many years now, right? So I thought it would be a good idea to do that, but I wanted to have personality in it. And I thought me laying on the couch with personality. I was like, it's my voice. It's the way I pronounce shit. It's like, man, that's not personality. That's some fucking dude falling asleep. So I had to get out of bed, give yourself a microphone on a desk, sit up straight, get some tea, get some smoke, and you're ready to go. But that comedy goes a little bit too far sometimes, and I understand it. I understand that it does, and that's why I delete a lot of episodes and redo them because of that. Some of the shit I say is just like really wild, and I put it so intertwined with all the different history stuff. It's like, man, I'm crazy. Why did I do that? So I delete it and redo it, right? And sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's hard editing, so I just like fucking delete it, do it over, right? So it gets hard to have personality and comedy and in history, and it's hard to see through the stuff without presentism, and try to see things through a humanistic perspective. So I would think really hard about that kind of stuff, and I was like, man, and so I would write shit out and then read it while I'd lay on the couch and record those episodes, and so now I'm like, fuck that. Now I do ad lib. I just write down a couple notes and I'm like, I'll just spit it out. And if it works out, then it works out. And if not, I'll just delete it and redo it. And that kind of sucks. But I think it's better than what I used to have. It's like freestyle and history comedy. But sometimes I push the wrong buttons and make your hearts and your minds blow up. People are like, what the fuck's he saying? I mean, I just thought like telling history, to a bunch of buddies or guys at work, I would think that kind of history telling is a little bit more fun to hear or say rather than reading a script. But maybe that's just my stupid idea. But I do say some wild stuff, I do. Like I just deleted an episode where I said something like, for example, when the Europeans came to the islands on that second trip there, or any trip, when they seen the naked natives on the shore and they met up with them, the Europeans, the Christians, how would you feel? How would you feel? Would you want to be naked around those kind of people? How would you feel? And why would you feel that way if you didn't know nothing about those guys? So we got a bunch of drunk Christian crusader conquistador guys that have been on a boat for a really long time, drinking beer and eating fish, right? And bread, whatever else they're eating. And they come to a shore where there's a bunch of naked women. Just imagine that kind of craziness. Yeah, that's the stuff I say, and I'm like, man, maybe I shouldn't put that. Those are the wrong kind of questions to ask. Or are they just questions that nobody will ask or would ask because they're like, man, I'm going to hurt somebody's feelings. But it doesn't hurt anybody's feelings. It's just a question. Right? It's about humanity, right? It's like, what would you do in that situation, right? But that's presentism again. It's like, So the next episodes that are coming up are going to be of Christopher Columbus and his people coming back to America for the second trip. in 1493, and I don't remember much of the details because my mind is asleep, but my body's awake because of the caffeine. How does that fucking work? The sovereigns in Spain had written their contract up for him, and they highlighted all that shit that they were going to give him, and they were like, "Man, you did a good job. You showed up here with a bunch of natives. We thought that was great. I want you to go back and do it again. Go relieve the men that you had on the shore, and find some gold, and bring us back some other cool little things." And so stuff was kind of cool at that time. And so that's pretty much what that episode was, beside a bunch of swearing and crazy comedy. And so I'm going to cut it short here and just say that, and maybe I'll have another episode. I was going to try to upload every Monday or Tuesday or something like that. I was going to try to do that weekly. And so maybe I'll put this one for Monday, and then I'll put another one on Tuesday, just because this is very short and not very insightful about anything at all, except for tea, oolong, right? I think the particular tea that I had made this last pot was Fujian Rain. Maybe I'll finish this cup and try to take a nap. That's what I'm going to do. So that episode that I'm deleting, as soon as I press stop on this one, then I got to do some videography on it. Fuck, man. Yeah, that I also talked about the Muslims, right? Because there was a guy named Alan McHale that wrote a book, and I'm not going to mention the name of it. God's Shadow, I think it was. He mentioned that Christopher Columbus was a crusader, and all of his men were crusaders. And other people that followed colonizing the Americas were also crusaders. Why the place in Mexico called Matamoros. Matamoros means more killer, which is basically Muslim killer. And so a lot of these guys, Christopher Columbus and his people that he was with, and then other people that came years later, like Cortez, that came to Mexico, they were saying, well, I think some of these guys might be Muslim. Some of the things resemble Islam. We'll go over that stuff. I think I did in other podcasts. But anyways, I spoke about that on another episode. Yeah, so they named the part of Mexico Matamoros because of who they thought they were. I mean, now there's a lot of people that say that's not true. They said, no, it means something else. So, I mean, these are just ideas, right? I guess we'll never really know until you do. Until you find something that says, yep, this day we named it this because of that. But until then, that's right. So if it wasn't for Islam, Christopher Columbus probably would have went straight east to Asia. But I don't know why I talked about that in that episode, because that particular aspect has nothing to do with the second trip. Not really. Kind of, I guess. Not. I mean, you kind of intertwine it, but not really. So anyways, that's it for this episode. Subscribe. Wait for the next episodes, which will be next Monday and the Monday after. And that's it. If you like it, thumbs up. If you don't, share it with your enemies, and they'll hate you for it. They'll really hate you for it. And that's it. Adios.